Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan, and thanks for joining us for our Friday weather update for May the 19th. We've got a storm in the Tasman Sea, which over tonight and Saturday will cross New Zealand, and in Australia, high pressure, the reason why you're not seeing much in the way of wind, although a bit of a southerly flow up that eastern coastline, and New Zealand's got a northerly flow going down the coastline there as well. But the main feature is this storm out in the Tasman Sea. It's still deepening a little bit today and sort of peaks across Friday, and then it weakens quite quickly as we go through the weekend. So let's try and explain what's going on. Here we are with the satellite imagery. Now this is the water vapor map. In bright white, it shows you where the highest chance for cloud and rain is, and in the darker shading, that's where the water vapor is very low, so most likely to be dry and sunny spells in the mix. You can see very clearly the center of the low here, and notice the way the cloud spirals into it. Really cool image showing how clear that low actually is, and as it continues to deepen, it'll continue to get that perfect shape. But it does change as we go through tomorrow, but for today, Friday, it has this perfect circular shape to it, and so the worst of the wind is mostly out at sea, which is quite helpful. So the worst of the winds in this zone here, we had a burst of windy weather, which you can see in that zone there, moving down the North Island. Temperature-wise, mild for the North Island this morning, a little cooler in the south, but not exactly freezing cold either. So that northerly flow helping to lift up temperatures. And so speaking of temperatures, these are the overnight temperatures for Australia and the daytime ones for New Zealand. Don't worry so much about all the numbers in detail. I'm just simply pointing to the departure from normal. So you see here in the shading, the pink-purple shading, that is more than 8 degrees below normal tonight and some of these eastern areas as well. So more frost returning to the southeastern corner. And tomorrow night's pretty cold as well, although warms up a little bit in the south. Now for New Zealand, today, maximum temperatures, departure from normal, shows the North Island is warmer than average. The South Island around about normal for this time of the year, although Canterbury just a little bit cooler. And then as we go through into Saturday, most of New Zealand's around about normal or a couple of degrees above normal. So nothing too extreme really for the New Zealand side, but Australia is certainly a bit colder at the moment. Now here we are for tonight, 6 o'clock this evening. GFS, the model we're showing here from America, showing 969 as the central air pressure. That is very deep. And as I just mentioned before, mostly out at sea. So all the damaging winds are mainly kept out at sea in this map. But that will change as we go overnight and into Saturday. So by lunchtime Saturday, the low center has weakened, 984 hectopascals. That's quite a bit weaker than 6 o'clock Friday evening. But the windy gale force weather up here remains. Now, the center of this low matters, where it precisely tracks at lunchtime on Saturday. If it moves up a little further north towards King Country and Waitomo, that's going to really put the squeeze on those winds through Auckland. If it remains down in the lower part of the North Island or Cook Strait, that allows those windy conditions to sort of fan out a little more. That reduces the peaks of those gusts. So right now, Auckland is most in the firing line, western Waikato, right on the actual coastline, and parts of Bay of Plenty and Northland getting that windy weather as it moves on through. This map shows you exactly that area I'm talking about. This shading is 110 to 130 kilometers an hour out at sea. So that could be significant if it moves in, but like I say, the center of that low, if it moves a little further northwards, those windy conditions move into Auckland, the low drifts a little further southwards, and the winds just fan out a little more and the peaks reduce. But either way, very windy on Saturday, possible power cuts in the north of the country. Let's go to Sunday, and the storm moves out to the Chatham Islands and completely falls apart. So there'll be a bit of messy weather out there for most of the mainland and the North Island. Showers, sou'westers, nothing too serious in there, although could be an isolated heavy shower still lingering. And Australia has a surge of southerlies back again, Tasmania, Victoria, even up to about Sydney, seeing that cooler change, that windier change coming through. But by Monday, it starts to ease as that high sort of bulldozers it out into the Tasman. That means we've got a surge of milder nor'westers for the North Island on Monday. But the theme next week for New Zealand, the westerlies, they come back all around this big high pressure zone. So as we get into Tuesday, west to southwest winds blowing through. They might turn a little more southerly for the North Island for a time. That can be quite sunny for Bay of Plenty and even Auckland. But windier westerlies carry on in the south there. They sort of come and go across next week as the high from Aussie tries to move into New Zealand. And our final map for Thursday very much shows that high pressure zone sort of stopping and the next one down here. And I said yesterday, this is what El Nino looks like when you start getting lots of sou'westers, windy westerlies, and high pressure zones over Australia and the western Tasman Sea and sort of up here in the north, keeping northern parts of the country quite settled. So that's usually textbook El Nino, but we're not really seeing El Nino yet in the atmosphere. We'll talk more about that in our next Climate Watch update, which will be out for the start of June. But that's all from me for today. Have a great weekend. Stay safe in Auckland with those winds on Saturday and the rain and wind around central New Zealand as well. And we'll see you again at the start of next week. Have a great weekend.